And boom, we are live. That is 40 seconds ahead, which should be about exactly the same time as the buffer. Hopefully my lips and the sound are in sequence this week, which they were not last week. Hope you're all well as well. Good to see you all. Let's just see, I'm just watching the countdown now. I'm trying not to do some of the clever things I did last week, which I think might have contributed to the sound coming out of sync. That's 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. So we're about, oh, it's kicking in now. So there you go, 30 seconds. 30-second delay. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So let me go and pause the video. I guess YouTube's live commenting thing on the control panel isn't great yet. So I'm just going to go back to the old-fashioned way. It is nice to see you all. If it looks like I have not had that much in the way of technical issues tonight, do not be fooled. I have had technical issues. Last week, I think, just after I recorded the show, I went to start editing the new and upcoming series of Japan Business Time, which was titled The Joy of Japanese Business. And it was as I did that I discovered that the data that I had taken from that last shoot, I'd taken some of the wrong data, and the original data I later found out. I shot two cameras as I did in the last one zoomed in on Rochelle and one on both of us, and the one shot on both of us was attached to a good mic. The zoom in one was just the crappy built-in mic with the kind of room echo and stuff like that. And it turns out we shot 2.5 hours of video and we lost the data for the main shot. Part of the reason for that was I always carry my own memory cards, but the camera, I asked to just use the easiest to set up camera, because the advanced cinema cameras there always take so much time to set up and there's so much of a pain in the space. So I just asked for the camcorder, the easiest one to set up, and I used that. But the thing is that their camcorders use compact flash cards, which nobody has anymore. And I don't have any of my own, so I had to use the ones that were there and copy the data later. And I copied the wrong data. So, yes, like Japan, you maybe shouldn't watch me because I appear in your Sunday dream session. Well, don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for you, but yes, perhaps, maybe not. Maybe you can always watch the recorded version. That's cool. And the great thing about the recorded version is that I can see the comments. They stay with the video, but it is good to have all of you live. That's why I have the comments captured in the live talk. It's, for me, your highlights are as much of a highlight of the show as I hope you listening to my ramblings are as well. So let's get in, let's go and see. So yes, believe me, I've had all the technical problems I can take this week. I've learned my lesson. I'm going to go and buy some more memory cards, possibly use a different type of camera, which might be asking for more problems. Rochelle will be coming back in April, and we're just going to have to do it again. We'll probably get a little bit more prepared. I was in the middle of a work like reactor meltdown at the time that we shot it, and I was a little bit all over the place. So it is a chance to do it again and be a little bit better prepared. We shot a great series together. As it is, there is one more episode of Japan Business Time, and then I guess there's going to be a hiatus. We're not going to have be able to do season 3 right after, which is a shame. But yeah, season 3 is going to be awesome. It's going to be called The Joy of Japanese Business, just because I felt like episode 2 got a little bit too dark. And it is good to come back. What are the upsides of working in Japanese companies? What are the what are the funny differences? What's the upside? Particularly after watching the Karoshi and Banishment Room episode, which is all true and it's all legit information. But I just thought, yeah, we're leaning a little bit too much on the negative, which I think people do if they tend to. When people ask questions, they tend to ask negative questions. They don't want to say, "Tell me why Japan is awesome." They want to, know about tell me about the Yakuza or something like that. So it ends up being like that. So these compact flash cards are the enormous, very 1990s, early 2000s. They're very high capacity, high speed, very stable, safer, harder to break, more reliable than SD cards. But pro camera users tend to use them. They're not very consumer oriented. And I don't even have a compact flash card reader, which I'd have to buy as well. But the thing is, yeah, it's pretty painful to lose all the data on a good series like that. And I went in on the Monday to copy them, but it was so slow copying, and the data had old data. And I went to just copy my own data, and it seems to have done an inverse copy. Whatever it is, I lost it. Lesson learned. I'm not going to let that happen again. Am I lagging? Video? Yes, a video lag test. I hope I'm not lagging. It's 30-second lag anyway. I timed it in the beginning. I was watching the clock. Let's say hello to everybody. I made a tune. I didn't actually have any tune ready until I started making it 20 past 10, 40 minutes ago. And I was playing around, and I actually came up with something that was, I thought, okay. So I'll play it for you at the end of the show. If it's any good, I might even record it. We'll have a look. And wow, we've already clocked through the comments. So here we go. We've got good to see 3 old dudes. Ellen Dick, you subscribe. TOD. Phoenix 787 is there. Very good to see you this week. Phoenix 87 at the YouTube event, which I think I've got a little placeholder in to talk about as well. The YouTube space, the 3rd anniversary of the YouTube space. That was awesome. Currently listening to Colleja. I don't know how you say that, but I'm sure they're good. Ben Duncan, good to see you. That's right. Do get that homework done. Good to see that you're studying. Who else we got here? Indeed, humans like Japan, our South African man in Saga. What else we got going on here? We got Mr. Cordy Chep, we got Ellen Dick, we got Kang and Kodos, 3 points veteran scars. That's a new one for me. 3 points veteran scars. Good to have you along. I hope you made it for the 31 minutes, boys. Yo, yes. Good. I hope that you made it. Who else we got here? Say hello. By the way, say hello now. So it's just nice to know that you're there, and I'll say hello. It's kind of funny, when I was at the YouTube space at the 3rd anniversary event, which was on Friday, I met people like Ira-chan, the Israeli vlogger, and people like that. People say that they watch the show, and it's kind of awesome to find out people who watch the show, because I do wonder what the other names are. Yes, we've got Sasimang 28172. Who else we got in here? 2 thumbs down already. Whatever gets you going. I'll do this even if no one was watching. Seriously, I don't. Yeah, so that's cool. It's all good in the hood. Englandese, great to see you, Mr. Cordy Chep. And by the way, if you like, feel free to like. I mean, you know. But that said, I don't. My existence isn't necessarily validated by the up or down thumbs. I don't really bother some people. But yeah, it's my face. It's my face. If I'd gone back to putting the cover back on, I'm pretty sure I could have saved myself some there. Krang, great to see you. Who else we got here? We got Mata Gaijinka. Good to see you. Thank you for using my tracks, by the way. I saw you doing that, and I hope you're very well there and very cold. You're in Canada, right? You're in. Yeah. Anyway, I thank you for using the tunes. That's right, Gabrielle. Who else we got here? We got. Phoenix, Gabrielle, got through all these people. Canis TV, awesome to see you. And I think we're nearly there. Who else we got here? Cooper Town Productions, awesome to see you. Thank you for joining. Tai Nakamura. Oh, so Tai Nakamura is Tyler Nakamura. Sorry, that just clicked with me. I always, for some reason, I had that separate in my head. If that is Tyler Nakamura. Anyway, I am I getting... senile here? Maybe I am, but that's right. Tai Nakamura is newest member of the Tokyo Digital crew. Makes awesome music. Go check out on SoundCloud. It's on the master playlist. All the stuff is shareable, reusable, and just like the stuff from Nonbiri, Ben Duncan, Chito Moakarang, and Fog, and also Seimatsuki, Perichun. All the music on there is really good. And by the way, one thing which I noticed, I think I mentioned this before. Perichun in particular makes like game music. Nonbiri does some of that, and Fog does some of that as well. It's very different to. I like to make dance music. They sometimes make dance music, but they also make like video game type music. And I saw video game music being used on a like instructional video, and it really works. It's really amazing. I think it was Fog's music that was being used in that context, and it was actually for a New Zealand. It was an LGBT sort of educational video or something that it was used, that he picked it up, and it was. I mean, obviously, it was just really well edited and all that sort of stuff as well. But just as background music, it kind of blew my mind. Oh, that really does work for that use. I just thought that sort of stuff would always be just good for games. But there's so much there's like over 200 tracks now, all royalty free, and there's a lot of really good stuff. And the thing is, these guys are all like pros who are making this music. So I can't emphasize enough. Go check it out. I mean, I think what we need to do now is figure out a way to make it a little bit more accessible and ways to find the stuff, because there's so many tracks on there now. But even all just the recent stuff, just browsing the tracks, the quality of the stuff. I mean, all these guys like Tyler Nakamura, you know what? I'm suddenly getting paranoid. Am I getting that wrong? But yes, all these people just make such good music. So and unlike me, I think I am I like to joke, I'm like the Nakai. I am the untalented one who kind of pulls it together and is the mood maker. But these people are actually really good. Plus, I was actually just jamming a little bit one of the message threads before this with my favorite, I would say my favorite Facebook follow thread is Gabriel Subculture. There's so many Gabriels here. There's a Gabriel Subculture who is a guy who lives in Tokyo and was talking about he's got a studio in his house and makes music. I'm like, dude, where can I listen to it? Because he posts lots of music. I assume it's a he. Posts lots of really, really awesome just music related stuff, which I just love to watch the videos and documentaries and stuff. So I know there's just a real cool little community going around the Tokyo digital crew thing at the moment, and outside of that as well. I mean, you know, I did the collab with Jace Mace. There's another guy who I've been messaging with on SoundCloud. Just so much cool stuff, and it's just a great little extra dimension. And anyway, so that's kind of cool. Who else we got in the comments in the beginning? Well, Icarus18, good to see you back. G'day, Icarus. Good stuff. Got Hemi for Grey 62, awesome. From Milton Keynes, welcome Milton Keynes, or from Milton Keynes. Also got Toru Sato. はい、皆さんこんばんは。Indeed, Toru Sato。早口な英語申し訳ないんだけど、本当はね、日本語も作らなくちゃいけないけど、でも、はい、すみませんでした。ちょっと今日英語でやらせていただきます。で、Sortitus. Ooh, hype. Awesome. We've got a Sortitus. I've never noticed your username before, or it's not registering, so welcome. I think that's a new user, and good to have you along, Sortitus. Naranagi, awesome to see you, and boom, you caught the boom. That is good. This must be when I went live. We've got Albas Rostandiga. Good to have you back. More regulars, Yasa, awesome. And no lag. I'm glad to see there's no lag. Actually, if there was lag, I wouldn't have discovered it. And I've been going for 11 minutes now. That'd be kind of awkward if there'd been a terrible lag this whole time, or if I wasn't broadcasting. Yeah, that would be weird. Okay, so we got Mr. Cordy Chap. We got everybody else in the house here. Elvin Ing, good to see you. And that's Elvin. Good to have you along. And again, that's a name I don't recognize. So excellent to see you there, and thank you for joining. Who else we got here? We got Yasa, Sortitus, we got Taisha Jason has made it, awesome, and Lucas Musser is there, Barringer is there. We got how would I say that? Nagamasa Kana? Nagawa Kana? I'm not sure how you'd read that actually, but konbanwa, indeed, right back at you. And welcome. Okay, we are now synced up. There are the topics. Let's get into the topics. Let's do that, because that is what we came to do. Yeah, I should do one Sunday stream in only Japanese. I agree. You know what? Maybe I will. Maybe after this. How about if I do a stream only in Japanese as a separate stream after this? I could talk about the same things. I could keep it to half an hour. I should do that, shouldn't I? I really should. Did I miss Herb Toka there? I hope not, but anyway, Hope Turko there, and Wildfire 777, Obandis. Is that what you are? Oh, by the way, you're in New Zealand, right? Wildfire 777, so kia ora. And Frederick Koenig, good to see you indeed. It's a very confusing comments there. Okay, let's get into the topics and see how we go. I might do a Japanese after this. I should do that. I can never wear a non-kung fu shirt ever again. Well, it's my man. It's Bruce, and he's playing SLs. So Japanese politics. There's been an interesting. Well, again, it's funny. A feature of the LDP has just always been they've always had these crazy, gaffes and these scandals and everything, and it was so normal during the time of the last few. 超わかない。なるほどね。超っていいんだ。It kind of makes sense. 超わかない。That's an interesting breaking up there as well. Hey, Schomburg, good to see you. Jake is singing on Periscope. Okay, that's pretty good. You took me to task. I totally missed it, Mr. Cordy Chap. That's okay. Hey, Carolyn Van Oosten de Boer, good to see you. So anyway, there's been this long time where there's just been no scandals in Japan. It's been like, what's going on? How have you been avoiding these scandals, LDP? Because they're so normal most of the time. And all of a sudden, it's like the dam has been holding back. I don't know how they've been able to stop everybody from doing that this whole time. But the floodgates opened, and the last couple of weeks there's been a few gaffes. My favorite gaffe in years came out this week. Indeed, Elvening, I don't know, it's just I didn't have time for Tokyo no Hiko, and I feel terrible about it, and I still want to figure out a way to do that. Maybe that's what I'll do. I'll go on to Tokyo no Hiko, I'll do the live stream over there after this. Maybe that's what I should do. Let's do it. At the end of the show, remind me, go and do one in Japanese, and I might go and do a quick live show in Japanese at the end of the show, just to get in the habit of just recording stuff there. Razel Gul, good to see you, by the way. You're playing Division Beta and watching this. Well, there you go, just listen, you don't have to watch this, but good to have you along, man. So anyway, as I was saying, the scandals have been going crazy. My favorite gaffe, like in years, was one by a very enthusiastic LDP member marveling at the social progress of America, which we'll get to. I'll talk about that. But the thing is, in spite of all of these, bribes being taken, in spite of a bunch of things happening with government, the member going for paternity leave, being caught having an affair while his wife was in hospital having the baby. The environment minister who said that the nuclear standards that they were using are totally not based on science, and all sorts of things going on, and yet, so you'd think that if this was America, you would have like attack commercials and the opposition would be going crazy. Yes, that's right. The slaves thing is coming. Taisha Jason, wait for it. But you think from all of the things that are going on, the opposition in Japan would just be like, it'd be like party time. It'd be like party central. They'd be going crazy. And they have set up a special committee to talk about the bribe taking of the Minister of Trade. But they're doing nothing because they're in a complete mess. They're just, the opposition in Japan is just so terrible. どこ出身ですか？超若ないさん、ニュージーランド出身です。I'm from New Zealand. そしてこの後で日本語でやるんで、ぜひそれ興味あったら最後にね、東京のヒコチャンネルでちょっとやるんで、Twitter でもチェックしてください。So, yeah, the scandals here are awesome, but you think that, the opposition, all they have to do is just point it out, and they're not even doing that. They're debating changing their name or ceasing to exist at the moment, and they can't even make up their minds about that. So there you go. Oh, and like Japan, you're talking with Chowakana. That's pretty good. So there you go. Yeah, what about Rob Ford? Rob Ford, I saw Rob Ford with Deadmau5 driving around in his Nancat Ferrari, and that was really, really awesome, actually. I could kind of see actually how you could elect a guy like him, actually based on that. It was pretty cool. Yeah, we've got two Saga people in the same thread. That's amazing. You probably know each other in that case. Sorry, I troll. I troll a little bit about Saga, but it's only because I love Saga. Been to Takeo and Saga City, actually. I've got friends down there. It's a cool isn't the right word. It's a nice place. I like Saga, so I won't be beating up on Saga. So I don't know. It's like, all of a sudden, you'd think it'd be open season on the LDP and they'd be in trouble, and they're not, and it's just because the opposition is so hopeless. There's a great story here which you should read. You keep hearing about how Donald Trump, who by the way won South Carolina this week, I mean, I must admit, when you look at the Republicans, it's really hard to see how he's not going to get the Republican nomination, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. The American election would be interesting if it wasn't going to go for another 320 days. I mean, what the hell, America, that you waste so much money on and have so much chaos over an election process that actually takes up like more than 1/4 of a term of actually being a president just on the election. I mean, that is insane. Most countries only spend 1 week on election campaigns. But that said, yeah, Trump is riding the wave, and among all the batshit crazy stuff that he is saying. By the way, I appreciate him and Sanders both have the same appeal to me, that they're outsiders, and they're and Trump, for example, the fact that he boasts that he knows how much guys like Bush cost because he pays them off, and he can't be bought. And just the fact that even if he's insane, the fact that he is his own man more or less, and that he can think for himself, in itself, that's a pretty appealing thing. I can see how Republicans would prefer him over institution candidates like Cruz or Bush. But that said, he says a lot of crazy shit, obviously, and a lot of his stuff has been directed at Japan. I don't know if you've noticed, but he talks about how China, Japan, and Mexico are stealing American jobs. I mean, it's like he's stuck in 1982, and it's a little bit weird, and people are trying to figure out what is going on with his kind of Karate Kid obsession with Japan. It's like he's stuck 30 years ago. And there's a great insight here. It's a fantastic story about a mega Japanese gambler who showed up in one of his casinos and basically took a lot of money from him, won a lot of money from him once, and kind of got the upper hand on him. And then Trump screwed him back, and the guy ended up dead, actually. Although that's no implication that's connected with Trump, but it's a really, really interesting story, and it's captured here in Politico. It's really worth reading. The guy is called Akio Kashiwagi, who's apparently a slightly dark underworld type figure who would gamble millions of dollars at a time. Fantastic story, and some say that this might be the origin story for his slightly outdated prejudices against Japan, which makes it kind of interesting. So yes, indeed, that's kind of cool. Yeah, that's right. He wants to charge Japan money to sell cars in America, which is kind of ironic for a free trade guy. I had to put this on just because I just thought this was just like, this could be the end of my life. This is an HDMI 1080p resolution. It appears as a 80-inch screen just in front of your face that you can buy for, what is it, about $150 US, and it's designed so that you can wear it lying down. So you can basically lie down and plug it into your phone or your TV with HDMI, and in bed just like watch the internet and browse, and not have to worry about like holding your neck or holding your arms up or anything like that. I want to at least check one of these out. I think this could be the end of humankind as we know it, but it looks kind of awesome. There's a nice little review here. I think there's something on Engadget about this as well, but will this load? There it goes. This is from AV Watch, as in audio-visual watch, not as an adult video watch. And what is the maker of this? It's not even clear what the maker. I guess it's like an obscure. Oh, Sanko. Okay, so they make a lot of. I think it's Thanko in English, but yeah, they just make a lot of random. So you can see the guy there. It's just plugged in with his iPhone. Pretty much, that's just like the end of my life right there. I guess if I ever get divorced, this is something, maybe the first thing I could go and buy. It does look kind of cool, and it's quite affordable. So anyway, that is kind of sad, and at the same time kind of appealing in a very dark way. Hey Ahmed, good to see you, man. And who knows what you could be watching. Indeed. So this is what I was saying before. It's 2016 and still no one to vote for, to quote Public Enemy from 1989. Indeed, the opposition is hopeless. This was actually written at the start of 2015, and the person who wrote it, Tobias Harris, recently retweeted the article against it. It's just as applicable now. Like, where is the opposition? Look at this. Apparently, a lot of money is going into one of my pet peeves about Tokyo, which is that you cannot take really nice photos of anything in Tokyo because you get all these power lines everywhere. There's a good reason that there are power lines up above the streets, which is that basically everything's very earthquake prone. It's easier to set up and it's easier to maintain wires and cables, your cable TV, your power lines, your phone lines, if they are actually accessible like that. And at the same time, I know from being in Auckland where we had underground cables and they couldn't find some of the power cables which burst, and we lost all the power in the central city for a few months as a result of it. So burying them looks nice, but it can actually be a lot of extra trouble. But that said, at the same time, everyone's of course terrified in an earthquake that all these cables are going to fall down and electrocute people and stuff like that. Plus, Tokyo is a picturesque city. It really is, and it's so ruined by these cables everywhere. So it's pretty cool. And I think if you're going to have white elephant public works projects to employ people and make the city look nicer, especially with the Olympics coming up, I'm all for this. Actually, I really hope that this happens. A lot of foreigners complained about this, and so it's nice to see that that's moving ahead. Episode 7, this was the so we've had last week, we had episode 6, which was the topic by Phoenix 787 about how to get Japanese involved in group discussions. And yeah, we had a good discussion about that, Rochelle and I, and we just talked about our ideas of, basically, for me, whenever I'm acting as the conversation manager, I call people out and I directly tell people to talk. One little thing I think I didn't mention in the video about getting people involved in conversations was that the key as well to calling people out, you don't want people to feel ambushed when you do that. So I always normally go up, especially if I know that it's going to be a discussion and I know that you're going to need to get Japanese people in and they won't want to join in, is I will go up to them ahead of the conversation and before the meeting, and I will say to them, look, I'm going to throw this question out to you at that time, and I think it'd be cool. You can say anything you like, but I think you should talk about this. So the idea is you kind of set them up so that they don't feel ambushed. In fact, you kind of set it up so that they're going to give answers, and I'll say, I want you to talk because I want to get the other Japanese to talk. And you can kind of set it up and force it along like that, but yeah, you got to kind of manage things a little bit to make sure that you get Japanese involved, particularly if the conversation is in English, which is tough. So we had a great discussion about that, about how to get Japanese involved in discussions. And then we had this video from this week, which was how to break the rice paper ceiling, which is actually the name of a book by Rochelle Kopp, which Brad Ford, I think, asked for this topic, which that is indeed what it says there. And this was a really good topic as well, just about advancement in Japanese companies and strategies around that. And again, this is a great topic. We've only got one more topic to go, which is passive aggression and working in Japan. Again, a little bit negative, and we had so many other good topics to do, which we will do in the next video, so the next series, so look out for that. But this was another really good topic. The rice paper ceiling is Rochelle's concept of the barriers to advancement in Japanese organizations, be it in America or in Japan for non-Japanese. And we had a great discussion here. Really, really good season. I mean, this is some of the best stuff I've made. And so this stuff will just, I think, sit there, and I think it should last more than, stuff like this where I talk about news. So, yeah, thank you for the like. Heading for Great 62, appreciate that. So here's one which was getting a lot of talk earlier this week. There's an educator in Japan, Hirotara Ototake, who points out that Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, who have been described as having certain learning difficulties, would actually have been destroyed by the Japanese education system. And she put up a series of tweets this week in Japanese, but the Rocket News 24 actually went and translated them so that you can keep up with what the comments were about. Just sort of saying that Japanese education, and this is someone who was a famed educator himself, that Japan is like a salaryman production line in terms of the education system, and how it undermines people who does that, who want to go on and become like entrepreneurs. And there's a real interesting discussion which kind of follows that, which this covers. It is interesting, and I've gone back and forth on this. I have the same general understanding of the Japanese education system that most people have, which is that it's a bunch of kids who quietly listen and passively take what teachers tell them, and that it's not very interactive. But there again, now I've got a 6-year-old who's about to start primary school, but has been in structured education, for the last 3 years now. He is the classes are interactive. He does book reports, he does presentations, they have discussions. And actually, whenever you talk to Japanese nowadays about school, often I think the stereotype that we have, you'll hear Japanese often coming back on that sort of thing and saying it's not actually that bad. But that said, here's a famous elementary school teacher who's saying that it is, and my son is going into the Japanese education system from March, or from April, so I guess we're going to find out. I figure, even if that's the case, I mean, it's partly a reflection not just of the education system, but the values of the society, which are reflected in the education system. So, it's maybe you could say that Steve Jobs and Bill Gates would have struggled just being in Japan, although, of course, the education system is an integral part of that. But anyway, real interesting discussion here, and a good link, and it's a good insight into the Japanese education system that resonated with a lot of Japanese people that retweeted and debated the tweet. And nice coverage of it there. Awesome. I got to mention. Oh yes, that's right. Okay, so 2.5 Oyajis next week on the 27th. We are going to be getting these two lovely people, Ryosuke and Grace, from Texan and Tokyo, onto 2.5 Oyajis. They have a Kickstarter for their new comic book, which is actually going to be, I've got the 3 that they've released to date. It's a 4th book. It's going to be bilingual, and it's going to be in English. It's going to be color. And it is, they got funded. Wow, they're doing so well. And this reminds me, actually, I haven't even pledged to this yet, although I've been sharing it. I've been meaning to do it on the weekend, which I guess I'm going to do after this video. But look at this, they had a target of 4,500 to be able to publish it, which they've already made way over from people donating. And geez, I'm going to do it as well. I guess that's how I'm going to order my copy as well. But awesome, these guys, and they're going to be running this until 11 days to go, so just before it ends, 2 days before the end of it. We're going to get them on next week. I was hanging out with Ryosuke at the 3rd anniversary of the YouTube Tokyo Space third anniversary party, and had a great time hanging out with Ryosuke. He's a really, really cool guy. And it was probably my first time properly hanging out with him. I mean, I've met him before at the Hanami and stuff like that. Hanami, by the way, April 2, be there or be square. You've got time, so come and get your tickets and get over to Japan if that's what you got to do, because this is the time to come. It's the best party of the year. And check out Hikosaemon, and I should be resharing it in the video information for this as well. But April 2nd, check my Facebook or tweet me if you need the information. I'm pretty sure, oh, you know what, they won't be there because they will be in Ghana during the Hanami. But anyway, we will be getting him and Grace on next week, and they are awesome people, and we will be talking about that. So that will be awesome stuff. Yeah, that's a good idea, Mr. Korichev. That is a good idea. I should do that. So the other person that I'm going to be getting on the week after that, I've already talked with Victor and he's okayed it. We've got to set it up, but I'm going to get Garage Hero. Garage Hero is not quite so famous, but Garage Hero is awesome. He is the creator of the Gun Caliber series. He's also got one other Japanese series. Gun Caliber is NSFW. Basically, it's an action series, but he's an actual director. He actually makes like professional production stuff. His channel, I mean, he's making a second series at the moment of Gun Caliber. It's got special effects, action, and all this stuff. Gun Caliber, because it's American spelling. Garage Hero. So Garage Pro TV, go and check it out. It is awesome. It's NSFW. It is basically about I think he's half Japanese, half Filipino guy, the director, and he also stars in it. And he's basically an anti-hero who lives in Japan, who basically shoots bad guys in the balls with his gun, and it's just full of like porn actresses who just random women in it, and bad guys. Although the good guy is also kind of a bad guy, and it's just so awesome just to see this being done so well. He's an awesome guy. I loved talking with him. I met up with him the other day, and we're probably going to get him onto 2.5 Oyajis in 2 weeks, the show after the one with Texan in Tokyo. But go and check out Gun Caliber, just because it's mind-blowing. And he's only got like... So here's the thing. He needs 5,000 subscribers to be able to use the space. And here's a guy who would use the space. He's an actual producer who produces awesome content. And yet he's only got 2,500 subs, so he cannot use the space. Oh, that's not going to work. Let me put that away. So yeah, he's only got 2,233 subscribers, and you talk about a guy. Just go and check out the quality of the stuff that he makes. Get him to 5,000 subscribers. I mean, I don't actually say to many people. I always say, go and check out the channel, and if you like it, subscribe to them and show them your support. Here I'm telling you, go and subscribe. Don't even watch his videos. Just go and subscribe to it, because it's insane that someone like me gets to use the space and someone like this doesn't. And I'm just, like I say, it's to me, this is like living the dream of what you do, making a series on YouTube. He's got a new series, which actually I had noticed, the what is it, Akayashi Samurai. This is kind of cool, but what you really want to check out, what I love, is Gun Caliber, and there's a new series coming out. So yeah, go tell word to your mother, go get all your cousins to subscribe. Get that subscriber count up. And we're going to talk about his new series when he comes on, so that is going to be awesome. It's going to be great, and it's funny. I mean, it's really crass. It is R18. It's adult oriented, but it's good. It's good. I was just watching the other day the documentary he was making about himself, about Stray Bullet, a true superhero story. I've actually seen the production series of Gun Caliber, but I've never actually seen this one, which is like a 20-minute documentary of just kind of following around a day in the life of Gun Caliber. It's funny. It's so good. So anyway, I can't recommend it enough. And this is an awesome guy. So go and support him, and look out for 2.5 Oyajis, because we have awesome stuff coming up. Victor, of course, is out tonight because I think he's doing a stand-up comedy thing, which is also pretty good, and I'd quite like to see that. I said, Mr. Korichep, I said word to her. It's a Vanilla Ice term of expression. Anyway, next one. So yes, while I'm talking about being at the space, you saw Akasan, great episode, one of the international reactor kings at the moment. Yes, and yes, that is right, Herb Token. We saw the 2.5 Oyajis with Akasan the other week. Great show. I mean, I guess again we've had Japan's #2 host and one of the world's top reactors. So of course you're going to have an interesting video. And true to form, I mean, Akasan was awesome. It was great to hang out with them both at the YouTube Space Party and at on 2.5 Oyajis. So if you haven't seen it, make sure you go and check that out. But yes. Anyway, it was great hanging out and good to see. It was good to see a whole bunch of people. There was at the, you know what, I actually meant to add the links as well. I actually talked with Canada Gene 3. I talked with Lisa Sometimes, who was there. I talked with, I always miss people out if I get Nihon John, in the Book of Host. He was there, cool to hang out. Shoot Tokyo was there. It's always cool to hang out. Oh yeah. I was going to show you the mug. The mug's in the other room. We got swag for the party. I was talking with the YouTube people, and they came up to me and they said they're going to supply the Hanami party with swag, and not just like t-shirts this year. They figured everyone's got t-shirts now, so they actually said, we're going to give you something better, and they showed me, and they got mugs, and they gave me one of the mugs to bring home, and it's awesome. It's a YouTube like creator site mug, and it's going to be challenging to get all the mugs that they're going to get for us to the site. I've got to talk with Sam about that, how we're going to get them to the Hanami. But if you come to the Hanami, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get like an awesome official Google YouTube mug, which is just freaking awesome. Ice Ice Baby will always be fresh to me. Taisha Jason, it's always on my karaoke hot list. Always, a couple of friends of mine it's on anyway, and it's a good tune. Yeah, he makes awesome, and it was really awesome actually just hearing about how it's kind of crazy. He gets millions of views on his reacting videos, but he doesn't get much revenue because they're all claimed by the production companies who can do that based on the YouTube copyright thing, where the copyright owner of the original content can actually go and make a claim, and they can take it down, or they can just claim the revenue, and everyone just claims the revenue, and he just makes money for all these other people making great videos. But here's another guy. I mean, he's got 65,000 subs now, I think, and boom, he's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and he's going to be in the space as well. We're talking about it. I'm kind of like, I'm not worthy. I don't know what I'd do with him exactly in the space. Carolyn Van Ooster de Boer, it is known. It is April 2nd, in the same place that it always is, in Yogi Park. In Osaka, that's right, in April 9. I don't know why it's a week later in Osaka. I would think it would be earlier in Osaka, but oh well, hopefully they'll have flowers there. Hopefully we'll have flowers in Tokyo as well, because we are calling it a little bit earlier. But yes, it will be awesome to see you there and come and say hello. What else? Oh yeah, so big shout out and congratulations to Busan Kevin, who had his 100th Just Japan podcast this week, and it was a tour. He made a 2-hour and 49-minute podcast this week, basically compiled of these stories of a bunch of people. In fact, let's go through all the people. He left out Jenny Silver. Jenny Silver's going to be on the next one, but there's some awesome people. There's basically the theme is you got everyone to talk about their first week in Japan. And I put about 10 minutes into this myself. So there's Kanto Kitsune's first week in Japan. There's me telling, I tell the story of my 4 arrivals in Japan, because I came to Japan basically 4 times, including this trip. And they were all very different reasons and very different backgrounds. And so I kind of just talked about my 4 arrivals in Japan. I started at about the 18-minute mark. If you're interested, talk for about 10 minutes, but you should listen to the whole thing because it's really cool. There's a lot of cool people here. We got Kansai PJ, Chilling Kansai, Joshua Mead, Percival Constantine, Unrested, talking about his first arrival in Japan. We got Brian McNeil, Kitty Does Japan, Andrew Higgins, Gimmeabreakman, Brian Walters, Michael Pickett, Jason, and Molly. And I haven't listened to the whole thing yet, but you can see, I mean, you want to hear all the stories in one compilation of everyone's first week in Japan. You could not, I mean, it's a long podcast, but you could not have asked for a better podcast, right? So awesome topic, and a huge congratulations to Busan Kevin, who's really, I think, carving himself out now a real identity beyond YouTube as being one of the real premier podcasters from Japan. So very much worth going and following, and I've been on his podcast a couple of times now as well, and it's always a pleasure. So yeah, that's pretty cool, and congrats to you, Kev. What else we got here? This is interesting. There's a Petapixel showed a thing this week about basically 3 photographers' takes on the internment camps. There was apparently one day, was it yesterday, was a Memorial Day for the internment of Japanese. Still just crazy to me that this happened. And worth checking out and remembering, and as much as we say, remember at the same time, people seem to go back to the same ideas of doing this sort of thing. Australia's kind of doing this sort of thing at the moment with refugees. Trump has been bringing up rhetoric of doing this sort of thing again, I guess with Muslims or whatever. And, human beings are just stupid. It's a huge testament to the Japanese community in America, the fact that they survived and they did so well in spite of this. Hey, Rihanna the Fairy, great to see you, long time. Good to have you along. But this is something which seriously bugs me. I mean, it was pure racism. They didn't round up the Italians or the Germans, and just like the Japanese, Italian and German heritage soldiers were among the most decorated and celebrated soldiers who fought for America, as were the Japanese units. And yet, the Japanese all got rounded up and put into these camps. It was crazy. So good to remember. That is the how to get Japanese involved in discussion, so go check that out. I saw this today. This is really cool. This is a story about basically a person outlining how they turned a BS copyright claim by a Korean entertainment company, which had in fact ripped off the music of the... so this person they paid for music from a royalty. You pay a royalty to use music from a paid music download site, which he used for his videos. And apparently a Korean entertainment company which had actually used some of that music itself. So they used this stuff from Digital Juice. And apparently SK Music, which I think if that's SK or SM Entertainment, it is their largest entertainment group. It's like Avex or whatever for Japan. Went and sent them a copyright infringement notice based on this paid music that he had permission for. And he disputed the notice because he had proof that he had the rights to use it, and the dispute was actually turned down by the Korean company, and as a result his account had a copyright strike on it, and basically went to some links. He contacted the music company, which helped them contact SM, which got back to them and said, well, yeah, actually you're right, we're sorry about that. I'll tell you what, we don't know how to fix this problem with YouTube. The problem's with YouTube that they can't take the strike off, but how about if you just delete your video, and if you upload it again, we won't claim it next time. Which kind of sucks, and there's a rant again about the YouTube system. To be clear as well, I've said this before, the YouTube copyright system is based on the requirements of, one, the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, the DMCA, which is a stupid law, but it's put there basically to make it really easy for Hollywood and media companies to make claims automatically against people and to get their content taken down. It's also to prevent another Viacom lawsuit which could destroy all of Google, that they have to make it super easy and automatic and brainless and stupid to be able to take our content down, which means it's always under threat. And so there are flaws with that system, no question, but it's kind of the man makes them do it, I guess. But still, it is interesting to see this as a person who really went to a lot of lengths, one, to make sure he was doing it right in the first place, and then to go through not only to send a dispute back through the copyright process and how that works, but actually to continue even after that was disputed, to get to a successful conclusion. So it's worth a read from a YouTube perspective, although of course the whole thing is kind of BS. So here we go, my favorite. I was tweeting this out like crazy when it was only out in Japanese. I was like beating the BBC and everyone to it. This guy, and you know what, I want to get the Japanese remarks because there's a good Japanese lesson here. I don't think I put the Japanese tweets into here. Basically, he was marveling at the social progress of America and how a country which, where black people used to be slaves now has a black person as president. But he actually, the way that he phrased it, he is like the dumbest man among many dumb people. He is one of the stupidest people ever to be in the Japanese parliament. I mean, he phrased his praise for American social progress. Where is the quote in English? I think I actually made the quote better. Although, you know what, I don't have it ready. So where is it? Let me just... Yeah, he's actually so basically he says a black person is the current U.S. president who is of black origin. And he actually says, let me be clear, this means slaves. he kind of said that basically America has a slave as a president. Isn't America great? It was awesome. It was such an awesome, terrible quote, especially because, of course, as everyone knows, I mean, Obama's half white, and his black half is Kenyan, from a Kenyan exchange student. He's not descended directly from slaves, at least not in America. And let's be even more clear, he's apparently descended from Thomas Jefferson on his white side. He's actually from an extremely privileged white background, and the white background, including slave owners. Actually, if anything, Obama's actually, ancestors from American slave owners. But as does probably everybody at this point, if you go back long enough in history, I mean, so, yeah, again, just really, really good just not to go there. It still is one of my favorite movie quotes ever. It's just a random thing. I love, there's a therapy scene in the movie Anger Management. It's an Adam Sandler, terrible movie, with Jack Nicholson and Adam Sandler. But there's a therapy session with a guy who's in lots of movies. I forget his name, but he's in lots of movies, and he's just telling the story about telling his friend not to go there, and he doesn't listen, and he ends up recounting a story of standing over him covered in blood, saying, "I told you not to go there." And that's pretty much what this story is. It's so awesome just that he said that America's come so far now that it has a slave as a president. That's so awesome. And he's resigned from a committee, and the opposition saying he should resign. I don't know that he should actually resign the comment was incredibly stupid. And the Japanese on it was so awesome, but he should just resign for being so stupid. As I said, the only problem with that is that, if you actually required all stupid people to resign from government, let's face it, government would just end right there. So where do you draw the line? It's tough, but man, that was it was a doozy. And again, the Japanese opposition can't do anything about it. This is an interesting one that also I saw today. Apparently someone was falling asleep on the train, and a foreigner dropped a note on top of their head, and they woke up and they found it, and it says, "Nihonjin, go home and get some sleep," and they tweeted about it. The reactions are interesting as well, just that people thought, isn't it nice that someone's caring about you? How thoughtful. It's nice to have someone thinking of you. Indeed, but at the same time, it's also the only people who'd be concerned are foreigners. At least it doesn't say, "Oh, okay, thanks for your wallet." Good point. But yes, I don't know who that was. I wonder if it was one of you guys who did it. I thought that was kind of funny. I'd laugh at that. And this is, I'm going to come back to this one. I made this like the title. How many more have we got? We've only got 2 or 3 more actually. Okay, so let's do it. This is an old blog, although I recently saw it getting retweeted. This is up I think about 2 years ago now, and I actually read it at the time. And I must admit, having a half son myself, I do think about this. So this is from October 8, 2014. It's a bit dated now. Maybe a lot of people might have read this before. Matagajinka, you've got an excellent point there. That's right, we've got Michelle Ryman, who is apparently German-Japanese. She likes to joke about how she's like the axis of evil or something herself. Although it sounds like she is also German raised. She spent like one semester in Japan. She does say something I've heard other half people who write blogs about being half before say, when they say that I spent like a semester and they totally didn't accept me as Japanese even though I'm Japanese. Well, if you've only been in Japan for one semester in 6th grade, then you're not, if you've lived the rest of your life in America or Germany or whatever, then, you're not culturally Japanese. You'll have some Japanese culture, of course, but it's not like being in a multicultural country where immigrants come in all the time. People will treat you as a foreigner in that case, just like, well, of course, this is what I'm interested to see, but if my son or, and I've got friends kids who have grown up, and actually Duncan does do PDR Sun's done a whole series on being half in Japan, and he's a guy who actually grew up a fair way in England, so he was quite fluent in English, and he came to Japan, I think in primary school, but I think pretty much as integrated as you could expect from a half. He does talk about the wacky side of being a half, and I like his videos the best. He's got a great sense of humor, and he shows a lot of scenarios around that. But but he is a guy who's maybe got a more of a grounded version of what it's like to be a half growing up in Japan. But that said, there's a lot of half people who retweet this, and they say that this is awesome. And let me come down a little bit. there are comments. She sort of says how, it's generally good to be half. Attention's generally positive, although, it's like, why do you stand out? She also tells some stories at the bottom about being at a family wedding and being any excuse. That's right. Well, we're talking about halves, and PDR is awesome. But the sort of things like great. And this hasn't really happened with my son so much yet, but it'll be interesting to see what happens with him when he gets older. You wouldn't know because you're a half. You're not Japanese, you're a half. It's true as well. Japanese can be pretty terrible at expressing this. Are you half? I wasn't expecting Japanese to come out of that face. You're a half? Let's hang out. You're cute because you're a half. The foreigner speaks Japanese. I've actually, when I was going to Kyushu, and even when we went to Yamanashi, I remember people were like, saw my son and they were like shouting out like audibly behind, "Oh, it's a half." And that is a little bit, what can you do? Hey, Renee Helpman. Renee Helpman, should you call her out on her shit? I don't know. She has some good points though. I do like this story as well about a family photo where she was being told this photo is only for family, and she had to explain to a confused photographer that even though she is for half, that she is family. That is super awkward, and I can imagine that scenario, particularly in the countryside. I really hope Tokyo's not like that. And there was an interesting situation today for me. So now we've moved into a neighborhood which is, we've been living in a neighborhood until now where my son was going to a kindergarten where there were like, maybe even like, not a third, maybe it's like less than a quarter of the kids are some international, either foreigner or half. Totally normal actually, but central part of Tokyo. Now I've moved to another neighborhood recently where he'll be starting primary school soon, where there are not really, it's a nice neighborhood, but there are just no halves around, like maybe one or two in a class. So yeah, he's going to stand out a little bit more here, but at the same time, for going around the neighborhood right now, he doesn't get any particular attention. Maybe it's partly because it's central Tokyo and it is a good neighborhood. Today I took my son to his first rugby lesson. He wanted to go and join a local rugby club, and I've got friends who actually coach in the local rugby team, so it was really cool for me as well that hopefully if he gets into it I can get back into rugby through it as well. But we went to go and play today, and I must admit you do kind of think as well, is he going to get special attention because he's a half, and especially if they find out he's a half New Zealander, because Japanese rugby people go crazy over New Zealanders. They get totally the wrong idea when they hear that I'm a New Zealander. They want to put me in the top team. And I say, oh no, I suck. And they say, oh, you're just being modest. And then they see me play, and then they come up to me afterwards and they say, oh yeah, you do suck, don't you? Sorry about that. So yes, you do get that. And that's partly what this talks about, the positive attention about being half. But I gotta say, I mean, my son, maybe it's because it's Tokyo, at least at this point, he is pretty still normally adjusted. I mean, and he is Japanese for intensive, but he doesn't speak English at all, and I guess you get the odd taxi driver who has a bit of a weird reaction, but it really is only when we go into the countryside that we get anything noticeable in terms of reaction. I've talked about Monju before. I've described if Benny Hill actually ran a nuclear power plant, it would be Monju, a Japanese-run nuclear power plant. And there's a nice article here on why that is actually a nuclear accident that's been ongoing and is probably as big as the Fukushima disaster in some levels. Just what's been going on, it's crazy. Go and read about it. But it's going to be basically $3 trillion to decommission it as well, which is another thing when they talk about nuclear power being cheap. It's not cheap because you have the cost of accidents and you have the cost of decommissioning. You feel like tackling someone from New Zealand? Well, I hope you find someone from New Zealand. I'm sure in Saga, if you're going to find them anywhere, New Zealanders tend to hang out in places like Saga. But yes, you don't look like a big Afrikaner type guy. I'm guessing that's not your background as well, light in Japan. So in that case, it might be okay. Afrikaners scare the hell out of you. I remember I've played rugby in a game where there were some Afrikaners in one of the local country club teams, and I went to go tackle around the legs, and I literally got both my arms around, and it was like a tree, and it was just like one leg. I couldn't even get. They're just so big, those guys. Damn. The Dutch South Africans, the Boers, the Afrikaners, they're just monsters, and they like to tackle and play rugby. They're rocks. I think that's what they call them. So yes, Aka-san, that was an awesome show. I talked about that. There was a big earthquake this week in Christchurch. My dad was there, and we're actually coming up on the anniversary, our 5th anniversary, not just on March 11 of the Great East Japan earthquake, but also About a week before that, there was actually the massive earthquake in Christchurch, which actually destroyed the house of my grandmother and my uncle. They both lost their house. My uncle's finally going to be getting his house back. They've almost finished building it. It'll be ready by about April. It's taken 5 years. It was kind of crazy. I was just dealing with the fallout of having my family in New Zealand lose their houses, and dealing with this enormous quake in Christchurch when we had the great East Japan earthquake here. It was a crazy time, actually, and it's coming up soon. I've started writing a bit of a blog about my recollections of that day and my experience of the quake. Of course, in Tokyo it was totally different to up north, but it was still a very, very big earthquake here, and it was the biggest that I've ever found. Hey, Bushido Devil Dog, good to see you there. Yeah, there was a big quake the other day. Again, it sounds like it was probably a Shindo 5, lower 5, scary, minor damage. But yeah, and that is it. That's all the topics for this week. We've got like 5 minutes left, and I made a track, so let's do some music and go out. And how about, I don't know, I've been talking for a long time and it is late, but you know what, I might go ahead and do a Japanese show, although I am tired. No, you know what, I'm not going to do it from midnight. It's too late. I've got to go into quiet time after this. But let me get the headphones on and get this all going. Oh. So, true. Let's get call going. So this is the track, Tokyo Bay Sunrise. Let's let's get to this. I didn't talk about Star Wars. I was going to talk about Star Wars. That's right, Star Wars. Okay, I'll talk about Star Wars. I actually was putting this on Facebook before. I just got to say with Star Wars, every night, basically, when I talk with my lad, we talk about, he just asks non-stop Star Wars. I'm always playing like lightsaber fights in the park. And every night in the shower, I just get random things like, how tall are Jawas? Are Jawas taller than R2-D2? How tall is R2-D2? R2-D2, by the way, is 109 centimeters tall. I know that because my son made me Google it. And the other thing is that, so he wanted to watch episodes 1. We saw episode 7, and then I went and actually watched. I didn't want to show him the prequels. I just showed him episodes 4 through 6. But then, it's here. It's episode 4 through 6. But then he wanted to see the original ones when I slipped out that they existed. He said, I want to see them. So okay, so I downloaded episodes 1 through 3. And so now we've seen episodes 1 through 6. And what's really, really funny is that now that he's seen episodes 1 through 7, he's seen all of the videos, and whenever I ask him which one does he want to watch, he says that actually he likes, if it's by choice, he'll watch episode 2 or 3 are his favorite ones. And it's funny, I watched them with him, of course. So I've watched Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith multiple times now, and he prefers those movies to the original movies, actually. And when you watch them over and over, I have an increasing appreciation for the prequels. I was going to call this How I Learned to Love the Prequels. And it means that, so now, like tonight, I was putting this on Facebook. My son was asking me, so if Kylo Ren was in a fight with Anakin Skywalker, who would win? I was like, that'd be easy. Anakin Skywalker, that you totally win. What about Obi-Wan? Oh, yeah, Obi-Wan, yeah, he'd totally win. What about Mace Windu? So I like the comparisons. He's jumping between all the episodes. And Mace Windu, he's kind of badass. I'd say, no, Mace Windu. What about Qui-Gon? Oh, Qui-Gon would win. What about Kit Fisto? Well, Kit Fisto is kind of a general Jedi. So, he's the guy with the crazy, hair stuff. And, that'll be a good fight. And then he asked me, what about General Grievous? And it's kind of funny. I've been forced. I haven't watched the Clone Wars series. I've read about it, and I'm catching up with it because my son is always, testing me about that. So I'm like, yeah, it's kind of funny as I'm getting up to speed. So tonight I actually went and Googled who would win in a fight between General Grievous and Kylo Ren, and there's a serious debate about it. But the reason I love the prequels is that it's making me really appreciate some of the mystery that's in The Force Awakens, particularly around the character Snoke. What I think is really awesome about Revenge of the Sith is you go back to the story where the Emperor is getting Anakin, and he tells the story of Darth Plagueis, who is the Sith Master, who's probably Darth Sidious's own master, who could actually create life purely from the midichlorians, could actually create, a life by invoking the Force, and he could, save life. And of course it was the saving life part that was attracting Anakin, but it's also clear that Darth Sidious, that Emperor Palpatine, is telling Anakin the story of his own creation, because if you watch Episode 1, where they talk with... I hated the whole midichlorians thing. I couldn't forgive George Lucas for that when it first came out. But when you realize in Episode 3 how he ties that back, Palpatine is telling Anakin his own origin, and it's not clear whether it was actually Palpatine himself that created Anakin, or whether it was Darth Plagueis, for example, who did it. But it's pretty clear that he's not only telling Anakin his future about how he's going to become Darth Vader in order to get this power to save life, but he's telling Anakin the story about how he was created, it would seem, by the dark side. He was created by a Sith, which is crazy, and I love that when the penny dropped on that. And so people are talking about hey, Timigo, good to see you, and Waito-san, good to see you as well. So when you start to figure out, you go back to The Force Awakens, and you've got this mysterious character Snoke. Well, what is Snoke? Who is Snoke? And one of the theories, there's a lot of theories on what the origins of Snoke are, but one of them is, and one of the reasons why he so went after Kylo Ren and looked after him, is that maybe he's Darth Plagueis. Maybe he is Palpatine's own mentor, or something of that nature. So that's a theory I really like, because that would actually tie everything together so well. And maybe Rey, there's two theories on Rey. Of course, everyone says Luke Skywalker's daughter, which is the easy one. But what if Rey is another Force creation like Anakin? I mean, isn't this getting cool now? And maybe Palpatine created Rey. Maybe Plagueis created... is it Plagueis or Plagueis? I think it was, I've looked it up, actually. I've looked this up online. I think it was E.I. something. But anyway, it's based on, when you start to realize there's actually some deep shit happening in some of the prequels. And you do realize with my son, my son likes Jar Jar. And I suddenly now realize, of course everyone hates Jar Jar, but they hate Jar Jar for the same reason that, adults didn't like Ewoks, when I loved Ewoks because I was 7 years old. And that's the whole purpose of Jar Jar. The thing is, you have all of those, people have grown up and they've become adult, angry, middle-aged nerds, and they resent the things that they actually liked about the first movies, and they don't realize anymore. And so when I watch it with my son, I realize that my son likes Ewoks as much as Jawas, as much as Jar Jar Binks. I don't know, it makes me reconsider, see, Ra's al Ghul, you're right, he killed his mentor in his sleep. That's what he says. But this is the whole idea. Maybe Plagueis escaped, or maybe Plagueis, was able to create Anakin. Anyway, I mean, that's the story that Palpatine tells. You've only got his word for it. But I think having him not be dead, or having him escape from Palpatine to the Outer Rim, that would be it too. I loved Ewoks, although I was a bit let down by the Ewoks movies, I admit. But anyway, sorry. So the Star Wars thing. The more I watch, I've watched episode 2 and 3 like half a dozen times now, and I know I'm going to watch it a bunch more times because they're my favourite movies. And there's a lot of cool stuff. Plus, of course, all the Stormtroopers and Jango Fett as Temuera Morrison, and Boba Fett, by the way, as well, is also a Maori kid. They're New Zealanders, they're Maoris. So, yes, we rock. Are the most awesome Stormtroopers in the galaxy. Although I don't yet, my son does keep asking me, how is it that the Stormtroopers were so strong during the prequels and they were so weak in the original movies? Which is a valid question, So, yeah, I don't know. Indian Days, you said it perfectly there. That is it. There's a lot of deep shit. The more that you watch the prequels, particularly 2 and 3, but even in 1, there's actually a lot going on. And I don't know. There's so many people hating on the prequels that people actually I've revisited my entire view on the prequels just based on having a son enjoy them so much and being forced to rewatch them, and suddenly realize, holy crap, and they're really dense as well. Like, you can't take it all in just one watching, even a few watchings every time I see new stuff. So prequels are actually good. I've learned to love the prequels, and I really hope that The Force Awakens plays off some of the plot mysteries of the prequels as well as the original movies when it continues. that is what I wanted to talk about with Star Wars. And there's a question. Oh, yeah, so the big question that I had to look up was, okay, so there were two questions. Well, and I'd like to ask you in the comments now, who would win in a fight between Kylo Ren and General Grievous? That's a good question. General Grievous was a Jedi killer. It wasn't really established very well in Attack of the Clones, exactly how he got to be like that. Apparently it is in the Clone Wars animated series. So General Grievous is actually apparently a bigger badass than he was actually properly made out as. That's question one. The question two was, he asked me, what would happen to Kylo Ren if he took on all the Ewoks at the same time? And you know what, I was thinking about it. One or two Ewoks, of course Kylo Ren would just do that. But if he took on all the Ewoks at the same time, remember, even Luke Skywalker ended up getting tied up and, being sent off to be cooked for dinner by the Ewoks. So you have to think, if all the Ewoks attacked Kylo Ren at the same time, I'd like to get your opinions on this, but what would happen? So I'm sorry. Kylo Ren would win hands down against what, Grievous or the Ewoks? I don't know. I did say that I thought Kylo Ren would beat Grievous, although my son doesn't accept that, and it turns out a lot of Reddit doesn't accept that either. Yeah, apparently against Ewoks, who knows? So I think that would be interesting. And Wildfire777, stop it. But there we go, General Ewoks. Well, I don't know, but there again, I mean, he has got Skywalker blood in him, so we'll see. Sorry, back into the music. Let's go back and I'll reset the start on this. And let's play Troll. Let's do this. Okay. So that's the track. I just made that like just before the show. Hope you liked it. Hope you enjoyed the show. Sorry I did get the Star Wars stuff in there at the end. Hope you enjoyed it. See you again next week. We're going to have an awesome 2.5 Oyajis next Saturday night. With of course Section in Tokyo, Ryosuke and Grace. We are going to have the final of the current series of Japan Business Time this Wednesday, so look out for that. It's going to be good on Wednesday. And lots of awesome stuff, and see you again back here next Sunday as we are here every week. Don't forget to like if you liked, and have a good week everybody. Peace. And by the way, this will be, I'll record a version of this and upload it so you can get it from SoundCloud along with all the other awesome Tokyo Digital Crew stuff, including the stuff from Tai Nakamura, which is awesome, so go and check that stuff out as well this week, and go and use it with your videos because that is what it is for. I will see you later, and peace. Boom. Here. Stop streaming. And do I want to stop streaming? Yep, I'm gonna do that. See ya. Have a good night.